I want to talk about how unhappiness kills, because I am aware of all these impulses just right under the surface for me that are self-destructive and socially destructive. So me staying a calm, productive member of society requires the maintenance of my spiritual condition, because without that, I can be a jerk. I can be a jerk to myself, I can be a jerk to others. And let me know, can you hear me okay? Not seeing the chat for whatever reason. But I wanted to talk about how unhappiness kills. Because I heard this great anecdote in a 12-step meeting. I think it was relating to money, possibly under Owners Anonymous. Loud and clear, good to hear. And the speaker said he was working really hard and he just wanted a break, and he was driving down the road and he thought it'd be really nice to get into a moderate car accident right now so that I could just get some rest. Okay, so he was feeling stressed, he was feeling under the gun, and so he was kind of hoping to get into a car accident. So obviously that's some real underwriting thinking. And so if you're not a happy camper, that's the type of thinking that you're liable to fall into. Like, oh, if I could just get sick, I could stay home for a few days. I'm not a scientist, but I would expect your likelihood of getting sick is a lot more if you're kind of hoping to get sick so you can stay home for a few days. If you're hoping to get into a car accident, I expect you'd be much more likely to get into a car accident. I think the most embarrassing thought that I ever had, yeah, you might even want the end of the world to save yourself if you're feeling suicidal, that's clear. I think the most embarrassing thought that I ever had, thought pattern, was in February of 1988. I was taking about 24 units at Sierra Community College, and I was working about 30 hours a week as well. And I was just feeling under a lot of stress and tension, and just really under the gun and bad. I was slumped forward, and I was just kind of straining. I was taking my first class in calculus, and I found myself saying to myself, I'm either going to break through or break down. Either way, I'll get the love that I need. Okay, that's some real under-owning thinking, some real self-destructive and other destructive, socially destructive thinking. And I suspect I'm not the only one who's ever had those kind of thoughts. I was under tremendous strain. Maybe I was already about to break down physically, but I can't imagine that I was really helping my case with this thought pattern of I'm either going to break through into success or I'm going to break down. Either way, I'm going to get the love that I need. I mean, talk about self-destructive thinking. I mean, can you imagine that? And when you get into those kind of cycles, you usually can't get out of them on your own power. You need help from other people, from God, from some kind of community, a system, tools, steps, spiritual practice, religious practice, I don't know, self-improvement. You need help. You need something outside yourself, because usually the thinking that creates your problem is not going to solve your problem. So can you imagine, here I was, 21 years of age, taking a lot of units at school, working out of hours, and saying I'm either going to break through or break down. Either way, I'm going to get love that I need. I can't imagine just wanting to be sick to get the love that you need. I'm watching that HBO series, Sharp Objects, and it discusses Munchausen syndrome, where people get sick or keep themselves sick or fragile so that they can get love and nurturing from other people. And it's embarrassing, but I understand that. Like, as someone who grew up in foster care, just under the surface inside of me, there's this inexhaustible desire for nurturing, for the mothering I didn't get in those early years. For it manifests as attention seeking, provocation seeking, just look at me, self-assertion, selfishness, just an exhausting way of operating. So I'm always trying to manipulate the situation, get a maximum of attention. And I understand those people who keep themselves sick or frail or fragile or in an invalid state so that they can get the love and nurturing that they so desperately want. And then you've got that horrible mother figure in that series, HBO series, It Sharp Objects, who practices Munchausen by proxy, meaning they keep other people around them sick so that they can fulfill their own sick needs to nurture. That's scary. So I learned in one of my first 12-step programs that the desire to rescue or to be rescued comes from the same sick place. It's the inability to be content and happy just standing on your own 2 feet. And the desire to rescue or be rescued are just like flip sides of each other, and they're both pretty unhealthy. So unhappiness kills, man. If you're unhappy, I think you're much more likely to get sick. If you're unhappy, you're much more likely to develop loneliness, because who wants to be around an unhappy person? If you're unhappy, you're much more likely to get fired. If you're unhappy, you're much more likely to have accidents. If you're unhappy, you're in all likelihood in a state of mind where you're blaming other people for your problems. And so you're not going to be able to see the things that you are doing to create your own misery. So it's just like a downward whirlpool. If you're a security guard and you see someone walking up and they've got all sorts of weird interfering tension patterns on their face and their body's all locked and loaded, it's kind of stuck in fight and flight, unless you know the person, you have reason to believe that they're not a threat, you're going to treat the person as a threat. And then forget about security guards, just ordinary people in daily life. When you encounter someone who's desperately unhappy, when they're in fight or flight reflex in their body, you're going to want to shy away, generally speaking. Because, unhappy people kill themselves, kill others. Like, you think before there's some massive workplace shooting or school place shooting that the shooters are just walking around happy campers? No, I don't think so. They're going to have all sorts of weird tension patterns going on, because you can't psych yourself up into doing massive amounts of harm from a calm, happy place. But when you're going through the world and you meet someone who seems happy, content, at ease, comfortable with themselves, you really find that person a threat, because you can rely on that, generally speaking, they're not going to gratuitously cause you harm, because that would be against their self-interest. Because when you cause other people harm, you're giving them an incentive to hurt you back. But you notice that people who are calm, at ease, happy campers, they don't, generally speaking, tend to go around causing gratuitous harm. While unhappy people, they get a charge out of often being as difficult as possible, trying to manipulate you into giving as much attention as possible. They're exhausting. They're toxic. One unhappy person can make a whole suite of 30 different employees unhappy. Like, one unhappy person can completely disrupt a synagogue of 400 members. One unhappy person can get into an accident and tie up a freeway, costing thousands of people the ability to get to work on time. So we naturally shy away from unhappy people. We tend to make bad decisions when we're unhappy. We're not seeing the world realistically. We're unable to listen to other people's ideas. We've got our idea deflection yarmulkes on when we're unhappy. And we're coming up on the Museum of Tolerance on my right. I once took a right turn down here about 3-4 p.m. in the afternoon and got a ticket. I think the ticket was like 180 bucks. So don't take a right turn from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. weekdays there. There's the Museum of Tolerance on my right. And as we crest the hill, there'll be about 100 Orthodox synagogues within a mile and about 40 different kosher restaurants. So, unhappiness kills. I made some notes. Oh yeah, just like it's under the surface, I'm conscious of like all these self-destructive impulses that I have, such as the desire to kind of manipulate other people around me to give me attention, such as in the stream, manipulate other people to admire me. I just under the surface, I kind of want to create this false self that's should get the maximum of attention and respect and admiration, and then when people don't buy into this false self that I'm trying to create, then I get unhappy and upset.